if you run an OnlyFans management agency that's making between like 5K a month to 30K a month, you want to get to like 100K a month, 200K a month, 300K a month, then this video today will be extremely valuable for you. Recently, literally yesterday, actually, I did a mastermind call, like a group coaching call with a few agencies. And someone asked me the question on the call saying, how would you start your agency from scratch again? And I sat there and thought about it, and I was like, okay, firstly, this is a very loaded question. Like, this is a lot to unpack. Like, for me to just give you an answer, be like, this is what I would do, is extremely difficult. Like, ideally, this is a problem I would want to take to first principles, reverse engineer where I did, reverse engineer where all our clients have did, which we kind of do in our high ticket program on how to sort of do that anyway. But the point was, it was a good question, and I was like, okay, let me just try and answer this as like simply as possible. Now, the reason I say this is going to be really valuable for the agencies between like 5 to 30K a month, and not necessarily the agencies making over 100K or who are just beginning, is because it's going to allow you to see how I would do it. And, you know, my agency does over $2 million a month revenue, over $1 million a month agency revenue. And so it's like you get to see the thought process behind how I would restart my agency to, within 90 days, get back to 100K a month. And that's extremely valuable because what it does is it allows you to poke holes in your current business. And so you might see something I say I'm going to do on day 1 that you're currently not doing. And you might see something I say on day 10 I'm going to do that you're currently not doing. And so I'm going to cut in the clip now of this mastermind call, this coaching call. Watch it, take notes, see where you can plug holes in your agency, and then just comment below like what you thought and what insight you took from this video. That would be super cool. And yeah, that's it. If you had to start your agency all over again, how would you scale it back to where you're currently at? Okay, that would be a very long answer. Difficult for me to answer that question in an hour. I mean, like, if we take that question back to first principles, like, how would I actually scale my agency again? There's obviously tons of variables and time, and there's so many like variables as to that, right? But you just like, if I had to do it like fast, or if I just had to like even scale my agency, or even if I just had to like add an extra, whatever, like let's just say, you're making 30 grand a month, you want to add another 30 grand a month or whatever. In terms of like scaling your agency, firstly, again, it just comes down to solving like one main constraint at a time. But secondly, like I would just engineer like what we do anyway, which is like 90-day sprints. Like we do this every quarter. Like every 90 days, we just do a 90-day sprint where we sit there on a call for like 2 days, 3 days, and we just write down like all the inputs that we have to do to get to the next goal that we want to get to. And it doesn't even always have to be financial goals. Like it can be like the fact we want to stabilize something, or make the foundation a little bit stronger. It doesn't, the goal can be sort of anything, get into a certain amount of creators, whatever. It's not necessarily always income based, but like it just comes down to designing like the inputs you need to do, right? So like for example, like if I had to like literally start again, I'm gonna go off here. Like this is gonna be a longer answer. But like if I literally had to start from scratch, like immediately, like if I'm thinking in first principles, I go back, it's like, well, what's the first thing I need? Like if I have to completely start from scratch, well, like in my head, like the very first thing I need to figure out is like, right, I need to set up a calendar, right? Like I don't need a website, a logo, any of that bullshit. I just need a calendar, right? And I need to make that calendar open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. with 15-minute time slots for 1 hour calls with models. Like that's the first thing I need to do. Because if I do that, like I'm not if I don't do that, I'm not gonna be able to get clients, right? So it's like literally day 1 is like, right, let me set up my Calendly, let me make sure it's open 7 days a week because I want to be able to take as many calls as possible at any time from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. with 15-minute time slots. So that means the models can literally look at the calendar and be able to book at 5 p.m., at 5:15, at 5:30, at 5:45, at 6. And then if they do book at 5:15, they've got an hour slot booked up, right? So there's like as many possible as times as possible just to give choice, right? Then I'm like, right, like then I need to set up like my automations in the sense of like the people that book calls, they need to be getting sent an SMS reminder, an email reminder, and be getting sent my VSL that's gonna like crush all the like limiting beliefs to make my sales call easier, right? And then I'm like sort of thinking I also potentially need a pull forward, like I need to make like sort of like a pull forward SOP where if a creator does book in for 5 days time, I need to have like some sort of SOP where I can pull it forward to be like, oh, let's not jump on in 4 days. Like, let's just jump on today, like when you got 10 minutes, just so I can speed up time versus waiting for 4 days and potentially decreasing the fact that they might not show up, right? So like everything I'm doing in day one is like just getting like the actual like setup in place that I need to be able to get to the next level. Um, then I'm like figuring out like what I'm actually going to be like what platforms I'm actually going to be like the next day realistically then is like okay the next day for me is going to come down to offer. Okay, right, cool. I've got my calendar set up, everything's open, everything's good. Like, I'm making sure speed, I've optimized for speed to lead. Like if a model replies to me, like I need to be matching it within 60 seconds because if I don't, like it massively decreases the chance that, she closes and wherever. I'm also keeping in the back of my mind that like, well, on average in a sales cycle, it usually takes 30 to 60 days for someone to close from the very first touch point. Meaning if I'm messaging models today and they reply in, it's likely on average going to take them at least 30 to 60 days to close, which means I need to be prepared for that and I need to be able to relentlessly follow up with them and send them sales assets that's going to warm them up and give them value and all this sort of stuff, right? So I'm keeping that in the back of my mind. Um, and so then I'm like, right, okay, that's like day one. I'm getting that sort of like basic, easy, fast foundational stuff set up. Then, like the next week, like let's just say day 1 to 7 is like, right, offer. I need my offer now before I do anything else. Calendar set up, everything's looking good. Like now I need my offer. Like I need to actually build an offer that is going to give me a competitive edge in the current market. I don't have any case studies. I don't have a personal brand. I don't have anything. So the only way I can differentiate myself is by having a fucking crazy offer that doesn't prioritize earning at this point, but prioritizes learning. Like it prioritizes being able to get data. It prioritizes being able to get case studies because I'm playing the long game, right? And so instead of like making an offer and making it sound cool by saying I'm going to do all these things and then it's a 50-50 split, I'm actually like thinking of like how do I do some crazy shit you just to like get clients and get more leads that stands out from everyone else. So for example, like I might do like an offer where I run a specific like OnlyFans growth offer that's like $1,000 up front, and if you hit all the inputs that I need you to hit, you get your money back, right? Or like I might do like 20%, like I might do like a minimum to maximum. Like, okay, you can either pay me 1,000 a month. Like these are random examples. Like I'm just thinking on the spot here, but I'm trying to pretty much get an offer. I don't want to ramble on about the offer part, but like I'm pretty much trying to get an offer that makes me really stand out. And yeah, I sacrifice my profit and margin in the meantime, but it allows me to just work with clients, get them results, and then I can upsell them, right? And so like I'm designing an offer around the ideal creator that I want, meaning, she has to have social media, she has to be willing to post 6 times a day. Like all these inputs are in my offer and like they need to hit in. It's going to be polarized into the point where if a creator reads it that they know deep down they're not willing to post 6 times a day, they're just instantly going to be turned off by the offer. But the creators that are willing to do it, it's going to sound like it's for them and they're gonna like be more inclined. And then when you pay that with the fact that it's like, 20%, and I make the 20% sound really like cool and fancy, and I package it in a really nice way, and then I can upsell them then once they get results on 50-50 and say I'm gonna do more and blah 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 blah, whatever it is that I decide to do. Again, I'm just more about thinking unique positioning, unique offer, and that's where I'm gonna spend the main majority of that first like week. Like I wouldn't take up too much time, but I'm going to be working on it every day for at least an hour a day for the first week. But while I'm doing that, I'm simultaneously still having to do other stuff where, okay, I'm going to start just once I've even got like the minimum, I like day one or day two of that first week, I want a minimal viable offer, something that I can at least like have that's decent, that yeah, it can be tweaked on over the next 7 days, but like just so I can start doing like outreach straight away, right? And start making content straight away. So I just need a minimal viable offer that's like stands out from everyone else, right? That way, cool, got the offer. Now I'm gonna start doing outreach. Sort of like start to like just literally do as much volume as possible, test as much stuff as I can, document as much stuff as I can. Then I'm gonna, download ClickFunnels, make a landing page, put a VSL on there, and then put a Calendly booking link with an email text sequence on there. Again, this is all in week one. Like I'm gonna do that. It takes an hour max. Put that in my bio. Put that on my YouTube channel. And by the way, I'm gonna be creating a YouTube channel, creating an Instagram, creating a TikTok. Get them set up. I'm going to build obviously an outbound tracker, just a super simple Google sheet so I can actually track the outbound messages I'm sending. And then in the first 7 days, my main goal is just to try and get one call booked. And I'm doing everything in my power to just try and get one call booked. Like I am posting 3 times that week on YouTube. I'm posting 6 times that week on Instagram and TikTok. I've got a landing page set up. I've got a VSL set up. I've got my sales asset. I've got my calendar. I've got my offer. Cool. Perfect. Like that's perfect. That's all I need for that like specific week 1 to 7. Like that's cool. Now if I am a newer agency in the sense of like I do actually have some other creators, like but they just maybe not that good, and I'm kind of looking for my main creator. Like okay, then potentially as well, if I'm starting from scratch again, I still do happen to have some creators I'm working with that are maybe not good. Then again, I'm still deploying their first 3 verticals. I'm setting the posting cadence from. I'm tracking the views and the KPIs. I'm doing creative sessions with them every week. I'm making sure I've got the Google Drive architecture built out so they can upload content and I know what's been posted. I'm auditing their existing sort of like socials and so on and so forth, right? And so like cool, like that's the first week, right? If you're starting from scratch, or you're still like not making a ton of money, but you've got a creator and you're still kind of starting from scratch, but you've got some creators. That's what I would do like week 7. Um, this has actually turned into a pretty good question because it's actually got me thinking as well. This is pretty solid.
Real quick, I've got a free gift for you, and it's called the OFM Scaling Roadmap, and it's something that I've spent over 150 hours building because I was sick of seeing agency owners get stuck at the same points, make the same mistakes, and not know why. And so what it does is it breaks down the journey of growing an OFM agency into 7 clear stages, from 0 to 500k plus per month, and it shows you what to focus on, what to ignore, and how to scale without burning out or blowing up the back end of your business. We cover all 8 business functions from product, marketing, sales, IT, customer success, recruiting, HR, and finance, and what each one needs to look like at your current stage. So if you're stuck at 10k a month, 30k a month, 100k a month and beyond, this will tell you why and exactly what you need to do to graduate to the next level. It's totally free. Just click the first link below this YouTube video, answer a few questions so I can customize it for you, and I will send it right over. I also just want to say thank you. The DMs I get daily from people using the content, sharing wins, breakthroughs, clarity, it genuinely fires me up. And if you're watching still feeling stuck or confused, you are not alone. This roadmap is for you. I built what I wish I'd had when I started, and now it's yours.
Then day 7 to like 14, let's just say, like, okay, week 1 we do that. Day 7 to 14 then for me is going to be like, right, if I have to like boil it down again to like first principles, okay, so the main things I really need to focus on at that point, 3 things: acquisition, content and traffic for the creators that I have or that I'm signing, and then obviously the OnlyFans side of things. So if we start with acquisition, days 7 to 14 is going to be where I'm looking to build momentum, right? So I've got a basic, like as minimum basic infrastructure as I can to operate in week 1. Now it's about building momentum on top of that. So, I'm going to have to build some sort of sales script, right? That just like, that I can iterate on and test. I have to make sure I'm sending tons of follow-ups. I have to make sure that I'm posting 3 times a week on YouTube. I have to make sure I'm doing a minimum 7 videos per week on short form, like Reels and TikTok, like bare minimum. I ideally want to just get a referral system installed, like roughly on paper, so I at least can get referrals if I am getting clients coming in, right? Just super simple, easiest thing to implement, right? That's mainly the acquisition side for the 2nd week. Then I'm looking at the content and traffic for either the one creator that I should have signed in week one or the current creators I've already got that are just like maybe not making tons of money. And it's like, right, cool. If any of them is worth, if any of them are hitting the inputs that I've set out in week one, I'm picking them and I'm running the 70-20-10 sprint with them, doing the 15-minute daily stand-ups and tracking it with them, building hook banks for it with them, making them do TikTok and Instagram lives as well, making sure their socials are optimized. Cool, that's all I need to do. Let's just do that for the next 14 days, for the next 7 days. Then I'm looking at the OnlyFans stuff. Okay, let me make sure the funnels are optimized on OnlyFans. There's only one link in the bio, so on. Let me make sure the OnlyFans page is optimized. And once I've done those optimizations, let me build an SOP around it. So like once I've built the OnlyFans optimization where, okay, this is how the welcome message should be. This is how to iterate multiple variants of the welcome messages for different creators. This is how the bio should be set up. This is how the page structure should be set up. This is how it should be categorized. This is like all this sort of just basic stuff. Cool, make an SOP around it, perfect. Because now when I sign a new creator, I can just plug them in, right? And again, I've done all this in the first 2 weeks, right? Just running really fast. So then kind of the checkpoint at week 2 should be you've at least signed at least one new creator. Ideally, you've had like 3 calls. You've sent at least 700 DMs, right? You've got 3 verticals live per creator, Omegle, Skit, Snapchat. You've uploaded 3 videos. You've posted at least 7 TikToks and 7 Instagrams. You've done, at least 5 daily meetings with whoever your best creator is at that time. You've optimized their pages. Perfect. Then day 15 is where I'm going to plan productization, right? Because in my personal opinion, the best, fastest way from every client I've ever worked with and all the data we've got across all the clients we've ever worked with. And just to add to that, right, we're restructuring the entire delivery right now for the program. We do this like once a year, where this is kind of off topic, but once a year, we collect all the data we've got from clients that have grown and done crazy, clients that have, not grown enough, like all the data we've possibly got, and we take that and we make an entire new iteration version of the program, right? We're completely changing the delivery where I can't even necessarily call it a program anymore, right? And so it's like the one thing I've realized from all the insights of the people extremely winning is, again, treating their agencies like a talent scouting agency, where like the Polaris star metric, meaning like the one main thing that's more important than anything else that you should be shooting for if you've not hit 100K a month yet, is just finding that one creator that can take you there, right? And that is the key trait that I have seen between all the data we've got, my own agency, Steven's agency, like everything. Like, so day 15 for me of building my agency from the ground up is I'm putting together a productization plan, right? So I know that I probably have not found the creator yet that I'm going to be able to scale to 100K a month unless I've got lucky, right? But I know I can't base my agency off luck. And so day 15 for me is planning, how do I productize my service specifically for qualifications to find the Polaris star metric? So meaning, how do I now transition to where my entire focus is going to be on talent scouting, and I'm a talent scouting agency, and the delivery is so hands off that I don't have to worry about shit creators and getting them results. So I can just focus on finding my Bonnie Blue or my Sophie Rain or my commit. Like, do you know what I mean? That's what I'm focusing on, right? So day 15, I'm putting together a plan of like, how do I productize my service? So, okay, how do I build onboarding? So it's the same for every creator, right? How do I branch onboarding based on qualification? So for example, if a creator fills out an application form, that application form should lead score that creator on how high a quality of a lead they are, right? And based on how high quality they are will depend on the onboarding sequence they get. And then that depends on the delivery that they get. So if a creator fills out a form that is absolutely unbelievable, and she seems like she's going to be the perfect creator, she's going to be my Bonnie Blue, that is going to be my Polaris star, like my A-team creator, like she gets onboarded like immediately, like, I'm putting all my effort into it and so on and so forth. Whereas if a creator comes along that maybe I could still make some money off, but it's not going to be worth trying to invest my time and energy into to scale to 100K a month, she has a different path. And that's why I need the productization, because I know, again, at that stage, right, the easiest way that you should look at the business is how do I just find one creator that I can scale to 100K a month? Like that's the easiest way to do it. Of course, risk exposure is high, but it doesn't matter at that level. Risk exposure, you can worry about risk exposure once you get it. Yeah, over a long time horizon, and once you've got a bigger agency and you're reliant, like of course you need to worry about risk exposure. But at that level, that's not a problem worthy of like trying to solve. And so like it's like let me just try and sign as many creators as I can to try and find my Polaris star, to try and find the creator that I can scale to 100 grand a month, right? And I know I'm going to have to go through a ton of creators potentially to find that unless I get lucky. And so therefore, I need to productize my service so that I can make sure even if I do sign 10 creators, 20 creators before I find the main creator, they're not going to take all my time and energy because all I have at that stage is my time and energy. I don't necessarily have a massive team. I probably have maybe a VA helping me wherever. Like I can't be delivering, taking calls, like doing everything with 20 creators, but I know that it might take 20 creators for me to sign it. So it's like, let me build a productized service where even for the creators, I map a 90-day plan for them. And the day they onboard, I just say, look, this is what you do for the next 90 days. I'll check in with you on WhatsApp once a day, but this is what you're doing. You do this for the next 90 days. Again, my offer is going to be something crazy where it's like I'm only taking 20% because again, I'm not optimizing to make money. I'm optimizing to find my Polaris star because that's how I'm going to grow the fastest. And so it's like, look, you 20 creators that I've signed, like just do these inputs every day, do these 3 verticals. And again, like just run the play. I'll take 20%, cool, wherever. And if they're obviously not willing to do that, like then firstly they can get cut, so it's less time and energy for you. And if they are, you make some money, and maybe some of them surprise you. And again, you can then figure out who is qualified. Because if a girl that you onboard into the productized service just starts cranking volume, like doing 6 posts a day, is like all in. It's like, okay, let me pay closer attention to her. She could be my Polaris star. She could be the creator I'm going to take 200 grand a month. Let me focus on her. Let me pull her into a thing and let me fully focus on her. Right. And so that's all I'm looking to do. And so like then that's day 15 is I'm just planning how I'm going to productize my service for qualifications to find my Polaris star and tweaking the business to now become a talent scouting agency. Then day 15 to, I don't know, day 15 to 20 or day 15 to 25 or day 15 to 22, wherever, the next like week or next 2 weeks, I am implementing the productized service with the qualifications to figure out who is going to be my Polaris star. So I am at that point almost like commoditizing my knowledge from what I've learned so far at that stage to build a productized service, right? And so, okay, my content delivery needs to be productized where every creator that onboards, they have the same content delivery. They all run the same 3 verticals. I've given them 30 Omegle ideas that they can just keep recreating. So I don't have to spend time finding new ideas. And I've told them how to iterate on it so they can just make unlimited ideas. I've given them another 30 high performance skit videos that they can again, and I've showed them how to iterate so they can just keep doing it. And 30 Snapchat videos, same principle, right? And I've given them the inputs that they need to do for the next 30 days. They have to post 6 times a day for the next 30 days. And then over that 30 days, I'm going to see who is about it. Who is the girl I can scale to 100 grand a month, right? I'm going to get them to potentially batch create everything. So again, I don't have to worry. They can post themselves because again, my offer is designed in a way where, look, I'm only taking 20%, blah, 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 whatever, right? They've got created KPIs. That's part of the productized service. The KPIs are built in. The creators, I set up a simple Zapier automation to where they have an end of day report every single day that gets sent into the chat that they have to fill out. That is part of the offer. Look, fill out this every day. Couple questions just to tell me how many times you've posted today. If there's anything you struggled with, whatever, cool. That gets put into a Google sheet as soon as they fill out the end of day report. So I can see on my end the tracking and I can start to track who is potentially the player star, who is potentially the girl I can scale, right? Then again, like I'm building I'm productizing the service, right? So I'm building the minimum viable creator communication SOP. So like what is the least amount of communication that I can do with each creator and like that saves my time so I can again just focus on acquisition, right? So let me build out that SOP. Okay, that SOP could be, I'm just reaching out once a day or twice a day to all the creators at once, just checking if they got anything, right? Or I'm hiring a VA for $400 a month just to check in, whatever. Cool. Um, and then I'm also adding and then I'm also thinking the last part of productizing my service, let's just say by day 22, is sort of like KPI based ascend or descend frameworks. So within 30 days, if if creator one has hit all her KPIs, she is going to potentially be my player star. So I'll ascend her into a more personalized one-on-one with me, where I am going to be doing daily meetings and I am going to put all my focus into her because I think she has the most potential and I'm willing to bet on it. And then after the 30 days, there's also a descent framework to where the creators that are really not pulling their weight, I'm just going to completely descend them to like C team where I'm doing pretty much nothing, or I'm just going to cut them depending on, where I'm at that stage, how much money I'm making, right? So that's how I sort of look at it. And yeah, that's like the sort of main thing. And then I guess like probably day 30 onwards, again, I'm just trying to focus on acquisition. Like by day 30, I want to have had at least 40 qualified conversations. I want to have had at least 6 calls booked, 6 calls taken. I want to have at least signed, 3 creators, and I want to have proven my acquisition engine because once I've proven, I can then start to outsource, you know, get setters, so on and so forth, right? Um, so like that's sort of the main things that I'm thinking. And then from day 30 onwards, again, it just becomes okay, day 30, how do I start to get my chat team structure developed? How do I start to build my chat a training system? How do I start to um, you know, those are the main things, I guess, at that stage. It's like, okay, how do I make sure that the verticals are being tracked properly, that the creators are posting daily, that I've got a chatting system, a chatting hiring system installed. Um, I'm looking at the quality of the chats, like, and at that point, like by let's just say day 40 or day 35, I want at least 4 chatters trained. You know, I've had some semi-viral videos, even viral videos. I've ideally located who is going to be a potential A-tier creator. And even if she doesn't get to A-tier and I scale it to 100K, maybe I can just scale it to 20, 30, 40K, and that's fine. So, I at least then got cash coming in the business, so on and so forth. Day 45 again, everything I'm just re-looking at. Like I'm just looking at the data I've got to figure out what my next decisions are. So, okay, I'm reviewing my content machine. Okay, I'm looking at like the mass, like maybe I'm, developing a mass message system at that point. Maybe I'm looking at like the best way to do resubscription campaigns or whatever. Like it depends what the focus is at that time, what the constraint is at that time, right? This is just a sort of high level overview. Like day 50, okay, acquisition still running, still trying to get more sign-ins. If I still constantly running that, still improving the chat team, still making sure the content engine's stable. And I'm just maintaining and looking at the data and just tweaking any little things there. And yeah, like that's pretty much like the main things I'm focused on. I think by day like I said, I would engineer a 90-day sprint. So like by day 90, ideally, I want to have signed at least 6 to 8 creators or made at least 50K a month. Like I'm now currently making 50K a month, which I think is easy if you design the inputs the specific way. Then acquisition, content, and chatting systems have been installed and proven. I've got SOPs, everything's tracked. I've got some case studies captured, and now I'm starting to ascend creators. Like I'm starting to actually if I have signed those creators on, offers that are like, 20%, 30%, but there's not just that basic, by the way. Like I'm not saying just go and commoditize yourself and just price lower. It's going to be a strategic way I build the offers. Again, I'd have to take some time to actually think about how to do that. But like the point is, at that point, I'd maybe start to ascend some creators on some more premium stuff to get some extra percentage, extra money, whatever. But that's like, again, very long-winded answer. But that's like pretty much like how I would think about it and how I would like sort of engineer. I'm just thinking of like, what do I actually need to do for the next 90 days to like actually be able to get the goal I want to get, right? And to find my creator that I can just start off with, like that I can just get to 100K a month or 50K a month or wherever, because that's like the easiest way, in my opinion, to like sort of just have a high profit, lean agency. And then once you've got cash flow, money coming in, a main creator that, yeah, is very high risk exposure and she could leave, but at least you've got money at that point. You know, you've got a case study from her. And at least at that point, then you can start to like, you know, diversify your risk exposure and so on and so forth, right? So like that's like how kind of how I would look at it in that sort of scenario. Um, Again, it's just very basic first principles. I'm not worrying about websites and logos and any like shit that doesn't really move the needle. Just 90 days of just pure action, as much as I can possibly do, as much time as I can possibly give. And it's like if you're not willing to do that, then yeah, of course you're not gonna get to that point in 90 days. So it just depends on what your goal is, how fast you want to get there, and then just reverse engineering from there. Like you might not want to put all the time and effort into scaling one creator to 100 grand a month. You might just want to sign 5 creators, 10 creators that are kind of on autopilot with a productized system that are all just making 10 grand a month and just kind of ticking over. And it's really easy maintenance for you. Like it really obviously depends on you and what your goal is. But that's like sort of how I would think about it and how I would do it personally. Before you go, if you enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks you're going to like this video next. So give her a watch and let me know your thoughts.